In today's video, I'll be going over all of the blue cards from Heroic Masquerade. Right, let's get started. First, we've got Cutlass of Fortunes. This is a mask and an item. Item synergy is relevant. Boost Blue Mask. Boost ability when attacking. Reduce your movement by 1. If you do, morph into a blue minion belonging to the mask class. This is fucking mental. I really underrated this the first time I read it. The important thing to remember is you have movement out the arse as blue, and instantly henshining is really powerful because it means your opponent really can't do shit about it, and you've got some really powerful on-morph abilities. So yeah, worth saying, this fucking just stays on the minion, so you just keep doing it. It's a really, really good card. Really good. Next, we've got Gauntlet the Sea Dragon. This boosts any mask, and if attacking a force, the minion cannot be blocked. Again, this is also very, very powerful because it sort of guarantees you're getting a henshin off, unless your opponent hard removes the card, and obviously there are ways to stop them doing that, which we'll come on to. But yeah, very solid. And then Jet Phantom. This is identical to the green one, but for those of you who haven't seen that video yet, go watch it. And this is mask item, boost any 2 or higher. When placed, if you have a minion belonging to the mask class on the field, increase your movement by 1. Highly relevant, highly relevant in this deck. And this minion can morph even if one of your minions is already morphed this turn. If this minion morphs and one of your minions is already morphed into this turn, remove this boost, base 1 blue mana in your base. Alright, sick, cool, whatever. It's good. That's all you need to know. The base minions are all very solid. Here, first we've got our 2-cost Orleans, King of Beasts. On your turn, whenever this minion deals damage, it can morph into a blue minion belonging to the mask class. That is the standard text that will be on almost all of these cards, so I'm not going to keep repeating it. And on your turn, if this minion is in the rest state, it cannot be selected as a target for your opponent's card effects. So, for example, boost this with Cutlass, and then swing with it. Your opponent will not be able to deal with that at all. Swings into a force, guarantees a transformation, transform into something big later on in the game. This is kind of when this is really valuable, and you can do some bullshit. Next, Orleans, 1,000 Blades. This is the 5-cost, so immediately ratcheting up there in cost. On your turn, whenever this minion, I think actually this card is probably skipped over, so we'll come. Anyway, whatever. When summoned and when morphed, copies of Orleans, 1,000 Blades enter your field until you have the same number of minions as your opponent. Now, I underrated this card tremendously for the simple reason that I completely forgot that this means that you have as many targets as your opponent has monsters that will henshin when they hit, and that is really fucking scary for your opponent. They're going to be shit scared if you just drop this down for 5, and then especially if you've got like 2 drop in hand, you can just play down, 3 drop, play down, and they're like, well shit, now he's getting a transformation even if I block with all my minions, and if I block with all my minions, I might be a bit fucked. So yes, this card is very good. Completely underrated, this card on my first read through. Now we're back to the 3-cost. Orleans the Predator. When boosted and when morphed, increase your movement by 1. This is okay. The when boosted effect is kind of cool, because then that sort of synergizes with, we go back to this, because then your movement immediately cancels out and you essentially just get a free henshin for nothing, which is pretty nice. But of course, yeah. Pretty good. So yeah, solid card. Now, one of the first truly bullshit cards in blue, Orleans, Monstrous Bird. On your turn, whenever this minion deals damage, it can morph into should read the same effect again. When boosted and when morphed, increase your movement by 1. Then this minion enters the active state. That's kind of scary. It's not obvious why. It should be obvious why. And when attacking, deal minus 300 BP and minus 1 DP to one of your opponent's minions. The DP reduction applies only to the minion's original DP value. That second skill is also really good, but the third skill rather, the one attacking, but the second skill is really scary. Increasing movement just means if you boost this with Cutlass, it's essentially free. It's also reactivating itself, which is, amazing. So you're getting an extra attack. When morphed, you're also increasing movement by 1. So you're just giving yourself like more ways to ramp to enable you to go into your 7 and 8 cost. You're also allowing yourself to do something like boosting something, attacking with it, then shoving the thing into base, to get back your amount of mana to then transform into something else. There's a lot of things that having that additional movement enables you to do, which makes it really, really good. Then we've got 4 cost, All on Dogged Animal. When morphed, this minion enters the active state. It's fine. You get another attack with it. It's a Marine Assault. Main flash. Put one of your field minions from your base into the field and put it in the active state. If that minion belongs to the Master class, place 1 blue mana in your base in the rest state. This is obviously crazy because there is no restriction on the cost of the thing you can bring out. You're bringing out a Mask minion more than likely in the Mask deck, so it's, you know, keeping the amount of mana constant. This is going to be crazy in other decks as well because it just lets you bring anything out. Yeah, this is obviously fantastic, super good. And then Deep Breath, main flash, reduce the movement of the player whose turn it is to 0, and select one of your opponent's minions for the duration of this turn. That minion loses -400 BP, -1 DP for each movement lost. The DP reduction applies only to the minion's original DP value. And trash, whenever one of your opponent's minions morphs, return this card to your hand. This effect cannot stack. Not as good as the green one, to be honest. The fact that it's dependent on the amount of your opponent's movement really sucks because more than likely by the time you actually get to do this on your opponent's turn, they've probably used it, or it's only going to be 1. Now on your turn, this can be pretty cool. This can just nuke something if you have 3 movement, which is doable with Pegasus and a Sheldon spell. But again, pretty setup reliant, not super good. Great art, but not a great effect. Only Tentacled. When attacking and when morphed, move one of your opponent's minions into their base in the rest state. This is also really, really, really good. You just remove your opponent's blockers, you make their lives absolute hell. They don't want to deal with this. It's very good. And then we come to the big boys. Only Royal Sea Dragon. When summoned, move all your opponent's minions with the lowest cost into their base in the rest state. This is usually removing 2 things in my experience, which is obviously very nice. And when morphed, destroy all your opponent's lowest cost minions. Then this minion enters the active state, so that is obviously strictly better. But the fact that it reactivates itself and removes a bunch of stuff in your opponent's field is really good. However, the next card is truly crazy. When morphed, destroy all your opponent's minions with the highest cost, so yikes, that's powerful. Then this minion enters the active state. Oh, also yikes, that's powerful. Then on your turn, whenever this minion deals damage to your opponent's life, reduce your movement by 1. If you do, one of your minions with 2 DP enters the active state. Hint, hint, this. So this thing just lets you kill out of nowhere. You know, you run the rare evoker-based minion from Sheldon, I think it is, from Forbidden, and you just go, okay, well, I'll swing with this. I've dealt 2 to you, reduce my movement by 1, reactivate this card. Cast Sheldon, increase my movement by 1. Swing with this, deal 2, reactivate this card. Swing with this, deal 2, reactivate this card. That's 6 damage. That's basically game almost always. If you have Pegasus, then you can do it again. Very simple, very crazy, very powerful. So yeah, blue's pretty crazy. Now, the question is blue too good? Potentially. For those of you who aren't active on Twitter, there was recently some tweets about the amount of play blue is seeing, and it's something like 50%, 40 to 50% of the number of decks being played in Legend, which is obvious. Not in Legend, rather just being played, which is obviously not ideal. That's a bit too much. It also has a crazy high win rate. And from what I've seen anecdotally, and also the AI is really good at playing it, which is like one of those things where, in my experience, this is purely anecdotal, the AI plays this deck very well and plays against it quite poorly. So you kind of get this situation where the way that Zenonzard works is kind of conducive to make this deck pretty crazy. So there is a possibility of nerfs. Again, pure speculation, but if you look at, and it's definitely too early to say, but if you look in the past, the conditions for the Zenonzard team to nerf or buff other things, it's when decks are too dominant, and this is potentially that. So in that sense, I would advise caution if you are going to build blue. It is better than green in my opinion, but not by a huge amount. Green is still pretty fucking good, and it's not like green can't beat blue, but I think blue beats green more often than not. But again, you know, blue mask viable, blue mill viable, green mask viable, and yellow 2's viable at the top end. And then, of course, there are more decks slightly below that, but they're all still very viable. So it's not as if this is a tier 0 deck, you have to play this as the only viable thing. It's just very, very powerful. That also being said, it's possible these new game rules, this new force is going to massively change up the way the game is played, and this deck might just be self-corrected by the game changing the way it goes. We don't know, we'll find out. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, drop a like, comment your thoughts on anything discussed in the comment section down below, or any videos you'd like me to make. Check the links in the description, and please sub to the channel. Hit that red button, get me to 1k. We've got to get 1,000 clowns together to complete this full circus. And I will see you in tomorrow's video. Cheers.